All right, welcome to another deep dive, everybody. We've got some really cool listener-submitted stuff for this one, diving into Python.
Yeah, really useful actually. Python data structures,
Mm-hmm.
specifically dictionaries and sets.
And we're going to go beyond the basics. I feel like a lot of intros to these are kind of surface level,
Mm.
but we're going to get into like why they're so powerful and when you really want to use them, in practice.
For sure. And I think what's cool is like everyone knows these are important. Dictionaries, right? They're using those key value pairs to organize data,
Yep.
and then sets. All about unique collections, right? No duplicates allowed.
Love it. So, shall we start with dictionaries?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I guess what's the most basic way to think about what a dictionary is in Python?
At its core, it's all about making connections, between different pieces of information. So you've got this
Right.
key value pair structure. And the way it looks, the syntax, in Python is you've got your curly braces. And then inside those, you'll have like key one, colon, value one, comma, key two, colon, value two, and so on.
So it's dictionary name equals, and then that whole structure.
Exactly.
Okay, so a key thing here is that the keys have to be unique, right?
Absolutely. That's fundamental to how dictionaries work, because if you had the same key multiple
I
times,
know.
Python wouldn't know which value you're trying to get when you look it up.
Right, I would get confused.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So let's get into like a practical example. I think our sources had one about like student information.
Yeah, that's a classic one.
So say you have a dictionary called student, right?
Right.
And inside you've got name, emit, age 21, course, zoology, and then like marks 89.
Perfect. And there you see like name, age, course, marks. Those are your unique keys, right?
Yeah.
And then each of those is linked to a value that gives you information about a myth.
Exactly. And so if you wanted to quickly just grab Amit's age,
Yeah.
how would you do that?
Super easy. You would just use print parentheses, student square brackets, age square brackets, close parentheses.
Right.
And boom, Python would just go directly to that age key and spit out 21.
Direct access.
Right. Same thing. Like if you wanted to get his marks, you would use marks instead of age.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So dictionaries are not like fixed, right? You can change them up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things about them. They're dynamic. Like, let's say we have that initial student dictionary, but then we learn Amit's college.
Wait, wait.
How would we add that in?
So it would be like student square brackets, college square brackets equals Delhi University.
Boom.
Uh-huh.
Just like that. Python adds that key value pair right in there. No problem.
Nice. So easy. What about if you want to like update something?
Also, very straightforward. Like, let's say Amit's age changes.
How's a birthday?
Exactly, right. Turns 22. All you do is student square brackets, age square brackets equals 22.
Okay.
So the new value overwrites the old one that was associated with that key. It's so simple.
Right. Now, let's say we need to completely get rid of something.
Right.
Like maybe we no longer care about Amit's course for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You would use the del keyword. So it would be del space student square brackets, course square brackets.
So that whole entry key and value just poof, gone.
Gone.
Sometimes you might need to check if the key's even there, before you try to grab something.
Yeah, you don't want to cause errors. So for that, you can use the in keyword like this. If space, quote, name, quote, space in space student colon, then on the next line, indent and print parentheses, quote, name is, quote, comma, space, student, square brackets, quote, name, quote, square brackets, close parentheses.
So that first part is checking, hey, is name actually a key in the student dictionary?
Exactly. And only if it is, then it goes ahead and prints the name.
Nice. Now, Python also gives you some cool ways to like peek inside dictionaries.
Oh, yeah. Very handy. So you've got this method, student.keys, parentheses, which basically give you all the keys.
Like a list of all the keys. Right. So in our updated example, that would be dic keys, parentheses, square brackets, quote, name, quote, comma, quote, age, quote, comma, quote, college, quote, square brackets, close parentheses.
Okay. What about the values?
Similar deal. You use student.values, parentheses, and that'll give you something like dic values, parentheses, square brackets, quote, emit, quote, comma, 22, comma, quote, Delhi University, quote, square brackets, close parentheses.
Okay. So you see all the values there. Is there a way to see like the whole key value pair together?
Absolutely. You use student.items, parentheses,
Okay.
and it gives you these things called tuples, which are basically like pairings. So you'd see something like dictatums, parentheses, square brackets, parentheses, quote, name, quote, comma, space, quote, emit, quote, close parentheses, quote, comma, space, parentheses, quote, Kaj, comma, space, quote, Delhi University, quote, comma, space, 22, close parentheses.
Oh.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, but you see the structure,
Yeah.
right?
Each key neatly paired with its value.
I like that. And just to confirm, if you printed the whole dictionary now, like with just print parentheses, student, close parentheses,
Yeah.
you'd get curly brace, quote, name quote, colon, quote, Amit, quote, comma space, quote, age, quote, colon 22, comma space, quote, college, quote, colon, quote, Delhi University, quote, close curly brace.
Perfect. So we've seen how to make dictionaries, mess around with them, look inside them. But the real question is, when would you actually use one in, real life coding?
Right. Got to get practical.
Exactly.
So dictionaries are awesome for anything where you have structured data.
Structured data.
Yeah, think about it. Like our student example.
Right.
You got these different attributes about Amit, right? His name, his age, his college. It's not just a random jumble of stuff. It's organized.
Okay, I see.
And that applies to tons of situations.
Like what?
Like you could have an inventory system for a store, right? Where the keys are item names and the values are how many you have in stock.
Okay, I see that. Or you could have configuration settings for a program where the keys are the names of the settings and the values are what they're set to.
Right. Miming it.
It's all about those labeled pieces of data. Now, that fast lookup using keys, that's not just a cute feature.
Right.
It's one of the big reasons dictionaries are so powerful. Because of this thing called hashing. Don't worry too much about the details, but basically, it allows Python to find the value for a given key super quickly, even if your dictionary is huge.
Oh, wow. So it's not like searching through a list one by one.
Exactly. And thinking bigger picture, dictionaries are actually pretty similar to JSON.
JSON.
Yeah, JavaScript object notation. It's like this super common format for data on the web.
Oh, right.
So by getting comfortable with dictionaries in Python, you're kind of also getting ready to work with RED APIs, data flying around the internet.
It's all connected. Cool. Okay, I think we've got a good handle on dictionaries.
Yeah.
Sets are up next. So what are they all about?
All right, sets. So imagine you have a bag, right? And you can only put unique items in it.
Okay.
No duplicates.
All right.
And you just toss things in, no particular order.
Just a jumbled mess of uniqueness.
Exactly. That's a set. You've got these unique elements, but there's no specific arrangement.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So how do you actually create a set in Python?
The syntax is actually pretty similar to a dictionary at first glance. You use curly braces again. So it's like set name equals curly brace item 1, comma, item 2, comma, item 3, and so on. Close curly brace.
Okay, so pretty much the same as a dictionary.
Well, almost. Here's a super important, a gotcha that trips people up.
Okay, I'm listening.
If you use just empty curly braces like this,
Right.
Python thinks you're making an empty dictionary, not a set.
Oh, tricky.
So to make an empty set, you have to use the set constructor. So it's set, open and close parentheses.
Okay, got to remember that. So let's see a set in action. Our sources had this simple example with fruits. So you've got fruits equals curly brace apple, comma banana, comma cherry, comma apple, close curly brace.
Ah, sneaky duplicate apple.
Yeah. So what happens when you print this fruit set?
The output will be something like curly brace banana, comma apple, comma cherry, close curly brace.
Okay, so the duplicate is gone.
Automatically. And see how the order is not the same as how we listed them initially?
Right.
Sets don't care about order.
They're just like these unique items hanging out together.
Exactly.
Cool. Now, I know dictionaries have all these cool methods. What about sets?
Sets have their own superpowers. Let's imagine we have two sets. A equals curly brace 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, close curly brace. And B equals curly brace 3, comma 4, comma 5, comma 6, close curly brace.
Okay, two sets.
So first, we can find their union, basically combine all the unique elements.
Okay.
In Python, you use the pipe symbol, that vertical line for this.
Okay.
So print parentheses, A, pipe symbol, B, close parentheses. That would give you curly brace 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma 5, comma 6, close curly brace.
Everything combined, but no repeats.
Exactly. Then there's intersection, just the elements that are in both sets.
The overlap.
Yep. You use the ampersand symbol, that and symbol. So print parentheses A, ampersand B, close parentheses, that outputs curly brace 3, comma 4, close curly brace.
Nice. What about the elements that are in one set but not the other?
That's called the difference, and you use the minus sign. So print parentheses A minus sign B close parentheses. And the output is curly brace 1, comma 2, close curly brace.
Makes sense. Can you add or remove elements from sets after you've created them?
Oh, absolutely. To add a single element, you use the add method. So a dot add parentheses, 7 close parentheses, that adds 7 to set A.
Okay. What about taking something out?
For that, you use remove, like a dot remove parentheses, 2 close parentheses. That takes 2 out of set A.
What if you try to remove something that's not there?
Python throws a tantrum. Well, it raises an error, to be precise.
Right.
So be careful with that. And like dictionaries, sets are super fast for checking if something's a member.
That in keyword again.
Yep. So print parentheses 3 space in space A close parentheses would output true because remember we added 7 and removed 2 from set A.
Right, right. And if we printed the whole set A now,
It would be curly brace 1 comma 3 comma 4 comma 7 close curly brace.
perfect. So cool methods for sets, but why would you actually use them? Like in your day-to-day coding life?
Oh, sets are so handy. One really common use case is getting rid of duplicates in a list.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember, sets only store unique elements. So you could convert your messy list with repeats to a set and boom, duplicates vanish.
Clever. And then convert back to a list if you need to.
Exactly. And if you need to do any of those set operations we talked about, union, intersection, difference, sets are the way to go. Especially when you're comparing data, like seeing what's common between two data sets or what's unique to each.
It's like set theory in action.
Right. And that fast membership checking. Super useful when you have a ton of data and need to see if something specific is present. Way faster than searching a list.
So it seems like dictionaries and sets, they're both about collections, but they have some pretty key differences.
Yeah, let's lay out those distinctions.
Okay, so starting with the basics, structure. How's that different?
So with dictionaries, you've got that clear key value pairing. Think of it like a label and its associated information.
Like name, omit.
Exactly. But sets, just a bunch of unique values hanging out. No labels, no structure like that.
Okay. What about duplicates? I know we've touched on this.
Yeah, super important distinction. In dictionaries, the keys absolutely have to be unique.
Right, to avoid confusion.
Right. And in sets, every single element has to be unique. No repeats allowed.
So they both handle duplicates, but in slightly different ways.
Exactly. Now, indexing, how you access stuff.
Right.
Neither dictionaries nor sets work with that traditional numerical indexing like lists.
So you can't just ask for the third element.
Nope. With dictionaries, you use the key to get to the value.
Makes sense.
Think name, omit. You use name to fetch omit.
Right.
But sets, no indexing at all. They're all about just checking for membership, not specific positions.
Okay, and just to make it super concrete, a simple dictionary example would be
Curly brace, quote, name, quote, colon, quote, omit, quote, close curly brace.
and a simple set would be.
Curly brace, quote, apple, quote, comma, quote, banana, quote, close curly brace.
Okay, cool. So, final question. When do you choose which one?
All right, big decision time. Dictionaries. Your go-to when you need that organized, labeled data and fast lookup by key.
Like our student example.
Perfect example. And sets. When you've got a bunch of items, you got to make sure they're unique, and you want to do things like check if something's in there or combine sets in different ways.
Got it. And there was that little bonus tip about creating a dictionary from a list, right?
Yeah, it's like a little teaser. The source material doesn't go deep, but it basically hints that you can take the elements from lists and pair them up to form key value pairs for a dictionary.
So you could have like a list of names and a list of ages.
Right, and you could combine them so the names become keys and the ages become values in a dictionary.
Pretty cool. And probably lots of different ways to do that.
Absolutely. A topic for another deep dive, maybe.
So wrapping up, key takeaways. Dictionaries are awesome for associating data with unique keys, super fast lookups, and great for structured info. Sets. All about managing unique collections, those set operations like union and intersection, and blazing fast membership checks.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Really understanding these two is like fundamental to writing good Python code.
Totally. Well, folks, I hope this deep dive has been illuminating.
Yeah, dictionaries and sets, powerful stuff.
And we hope you've come away with a solid understanding of how they work and, more importantly, why you might choose one over the other.
And here's a final thought to ponder. Given what we've learned about dictionaries and sets and their strengths, what kinds of real-world problems can you imagine solving with these tools?
Yeah, how could you use their unique capabilities to create something new and interesting, something efficient and effective?
Keep those creative juices flowing.
And let us know what you come up with.
We'd love to hear your ideas.
Until next time.
See you then.